official, it was quickly assumed that the perpetrator was acting upon a grudge against the police force. The kidnapping was treated as a direct attack against the good name of the police, and a large-scale investigation was launched that used the best equipment available to trace phone calls. This made it all the more embarrassing when they were unable to catch the culprit. Losing the public's confidence, the culprit grew cocky, relentlessly mocking the police force. After 3 days of failure after failure, Hadaway reached a breaking point. Spurred by concern for her son, she resolved to hand over the ransom money as fast as possible, but her husband and father, who held the prestige of the police in high regard, refused, saying that they would not let the criminal win by giving in to their demands. The increasingly frantic detective assigned to the case lost his temper when the criminal called to give an ultimatum, causing the culprit to never make contact again. Another week passed, and Shuichi's body was found floating in the Sumida River. Shuichi's death could be largely ascribed to the police's incompetence, but this was ultimately covered up with stringent media embargoes. The investigation was never closed, but the case has long gone cold. Fuck them police. Azure Heron Agency, Richter Kai's private investigation firm in Kamata Ota City. Originally, Kai thought to give it a simple name like Kai's Detective Agency, but upon hearing that the people are more likely to pick a name listed at the front of the phone book alphabetically, he decided to pick a name starting with an A. Thus, the Azure Heron Agency was established. However, it is questionable whether the heron, a bird of somewhat ominous significance, is an effective symbol for attracting customers. Even his own assistant has referred to the name as confusing at best. After all, rather than a azure heron, Richter keeps a white parrot as a pet and dresses not in blue. Oh, he's not wearing blue. Okay, that's true. But mostly in white. If there was a symbolic connection to be made here, it has surely been lost on all but Richter himself. A private investigator, also known as a private eye, is a detective who operates their own agency. Although there are no formal qualifications necessary to become a private investigator, many are retired police agents or detectives due to the similarities between the work involved. At a glance, private investigation firms and inquiries offices might look similar, but they carry out different types of investigations. Inquiry offices specialize in conducting credit checks on businesses, while private investigators are generally involved in tailing persons of interest and gaining information. Word. Word I don't know. Language is hard! You know, we still need to figure out exactly what you want me to do. Tell you what, why don't I tell you what I found and then we can make a decision? Alright. I suppose there's not much going over the kidnapping itself. No, I'm very familiar. I'll leave that for the files to cover, and just to confirm a few things about the case. The police traced the culprit's call back to, let's see here, Northern Oyoko River, here in Sumida City. That's quite a wide area. That's right. In the end, they never managed to nail down exactly where the calls were coming from. But it was almost certainly the same location that Shuichi was being held captive, since Shuichi's voice could be heard during the killer's calls. Northern Oyoko River is quite a distance from Shuichi's normal school commute. Factoring in that he was seen at school but went missing before he arrived at his house, it's likely that he was abducted by car on his route home. Maybe, but... Exactly. Shuichi was a clever boy. He never would have gotten into a car with a stranger. That's right. I was very firm about that. I know he understood too. I even saw him warning the other children. It's possible that they forced him into the car. The only issue there weren't any witnesses to the kidnapping. You can't bundle someone into a car with that many students around and not be noticed. But nobody came forward to say they saw anything suspicious. So, did they target him at some other time or somewhere away from his usual route? Both of those seem a little far-fetched. Which raises the question, how did the kidnapper pull it off? The police never managed to find an answer. In the end, they decided that the kidnapper must have Jesus Christ. The kidnapper must have just gotten lucky. Well, why not turn the problem on its head? Upside down? Kidnapper managed to convince Shuichi to get into their car, but how? The only thing that makes sense to me is if they were somebody that he would have had a reason to trust. A teacher, perhaps, or a relative, or somebody else that he knew. But all of the adults Shuichi knew had alibis. The police checked them all thoroughly. They did, huh? No one throws numbers at a problem like the cops. But what if it wasn't someone he knew? Or rather, what if the culprit disguised themselves as a police officer? That would explain why he didn't find them suspicious. The Shigema family has close ties with the police, after all. He would have had a reason to trust them. You might be right. But surely that couldn't have... Well, there's a problem with the theory. You'd be surprised how much police officers stand out. That's sort of the point, after all. They're meant to be a visible deterrent against crime. Well, here's another interesting little bit of trivia I happen to know. When you ask people to imagine someone suspicious, nobody pictures women or children. Even kids who've been warned about stranger danger. Often subconsciously expect that danger to look like an adult man. Besides, Shuichi was the sort of boy who wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. He must have had a very strong sense of right and wrong. That's right. Wait, surely you can't mean... Now you're getting it. If, say, a young woman approached Shuichi asking for help, what would he have done? If someone like that said they were lost and asked him for directions, would he have gotten into a car? He might have. My husband always told him that a man had a duty to watch out for women and children. You could certainly argue that kind of attitude is outdated nowadays. But if Shuichi believed it, then we might have something here. Then you think the culprit was a young woman? But it was a man's voice on the phone. She might have had an accomplice. Maybe she didn't even realize she was being used. If anything, that would explain why she hasn't come forward. She herself might not realize she had anything to do with the case. The plot thickens. So the question is, did anybody see Shuichi speaking with a young woman on the day of his disappearance? See, what I said about people's biases. That goes for witnesses, too. And I figured that maybe if I started asking new questions, I might get some new answers. So I spent my day asking around Shuichi's school route, seeing if anyone had seen something. And one man thought he had. Do you mean he saw it happen? Well, I can't say that for sure yet. It turned out he wanted something from me, so he asked if we could talk in private. Oh? There were arrows earlier. You can tell by the sepia tone. It's in the past. Alright, this should do. There's no one around. We can speak in confidence. Excuse me. What was your name again? Jinochi. Got it. Well, Jinochi, I'm all ears. Just so we're on the same page. You're a private detective investigating Shuichi Shigema's kidnapping. Do I have that right? Of course. What else do I look like? Many different things. Besides that. How should I know what a private detective looks like? I'll forget it. Look, I'll tell you straight. My life is in danger. I need your help. You'll excuse me if that caught me a little off guard. Let me ask you straight. Who was trying to kill you? A student called Michio Shiraishi. Oh. Interesting. A schoolgirl, eh? Sounds like you've been naughty. It's nothing like that. That girl, she's a murderer. I'm the only one who knows, but I saw what she did. Michio Shiraishi. I saw her kidnap Shuichi Shigema. Nani? Come again? I saw her talk to him on the street and lead him away. I didn't think much of it at the time, but then he went missing. She murdered him, I'm sure of it. Or at least she's got something to do with it. That's what you're here for, isn't it? Then you can't let her get to me. If that's true, you've been sitting on some valuable information. Why didn't you tell anybody? Well, you see, if you can't explain that, I don't have any reason to believe you. I couldn't. She told me she'd kill me if I spoke a word. You're telling me a schoolgirl had you scared for your life? So you've been sitting on that all this time, and you think she's coming for you now that you spilled the beans? Yes, that's it, exactly. I'm begging you, don't let her get to me. Arrest her. I'm telling you, she's a demon. Well, you seem to believe what you're saying. But it just doesn't add up. How could a schoolgirl have a fully grown man so terrified? You don't know what she can do. She'll curse me. Curse you? His face. I'm sorry, but you're losing me here. It's true. Her house, it's... forget it. Why do I even bother? You seem dubious enough to believe me, but I should have known you never understand. Enough. I'll find someone else to help me. Hey! Flashbang. And that's about the long and short of it. I can hardly believe it. At the time, I thought his mention of curses was just crazy talk. But I'm starting to see that there might have been more to it. Then, if we can just find that girl... Curse or no curse, if she was with Shuichi on the day of the kidnapping, there's a good chance she knows something. On top of that, I did some digging on the man I spoke to. His full name is Kohei Jinoichi, and he's a teacher at Komagata High School here in Sumida. A teacher? Then this schoolgirl is one of his students? I think that's very likely. Then we got this more. At last, we've got a lead. Hopefully it'll be the breakthrough we're looking for. Yeah. The Rite of Resurrection, huh? I read about that in a cult magazine the other day. Apparently some old book showed up recently with all the gory details. And they say that the rite can be found somewhere in Honjo. I remember the first time you told me about that. It felt like my prayers had been heard. Like I had hope, real hope for the first time. Ever since that awful day, I've wondered. What if I hadn't sent him to school? What if I'd just paid the ransom? Not a day goes by when I don't think that if I'd done something differently, Shuichi would still be alive. You can't blame yourself, ma'am. It was the culprit's fault, not yours. Though I know that won't help any. Grief is funny like that. I'm guessing that's why you're after the right. Guess I didn't need to ask. It's written all over your face. I could tell how much he meant to you. But, and this is a big but, if this right's the real deal, using it will mean killing someone and stealing their soul. She looks fine with that, yep. Is that a problem? If it comes to that, I'm afraid I'll have to stop you. Oh, that's a shame. A shame, huh? That's all? I thought, if I'm going to be competing with other curse bearers, then your detective skills might come in useful. You realize you're talking about ending someone's life, right? Don't you see an issue with that? I think any parent in my position would happily kill for a chance like this. That's so, is it? Dear, oh dear, what have I gotten myself into? If it makes you uncomfortable, then you won't have to get any blood on your hands yourself. I don't need you to kill the other curse bearers. I only need you to find them. I won't be party to murder, ma'am. Not even for a client. I don't think he's gonna do it regardless, to be honest. He seems like he's gonna hold to his guns. I see. I didn't realize you were so stubborn. Let me say, though, it's not like I don't get what you're going through. As long as you're not killing anyone with your own hands, maybe I can help you out. What do you have in mind? Well, how about stealing someone else's curse stone after they'd filled it with soul dregs? If that was all you were after, then I could lend you my services guilt-free. If the other curse bearers want to kill each other, then that's their business. I'm not trying to be a hero here. I guess there's no guarantee a stolen curse stone will work, but we can worry about that later. Well, then, I suppose we have a deal. Although, what if I stole a curse stone using my curse? Would you disapprove? That would void our contract, ma'am. Just warning you now. My. And she does do a murder. She sure do. Before we go any further, why don't you tell me about that curse of yours? The haunting clappers, was it? That's one of the 7 mysteries of Honjo, if I remember correctly. That's right. The original story did happen somewhere near here, I think. I'm sure I remember hearing that. In that case, my money would be on all the curse bearers being somewhere in Honjo. Our first move should be to narrow them down. Some of them are bound to try and come for you first. We'll need to be ready. The curses make their bearers more willing to kill, so an attack could come from anywhere. That sounds sensible. And if I remember correctly, your haunting clappers can set people on fire, but only if they have a naked flame or a lighter on their person. Is that right? That's right. In olden times, wooden clappers were used to warn people of fire. I'm guessing it punishes those who don't heed the warning. Seems like a good curse to have. It's simple and straightforward enough to use. Although it's hard to say how it stacks up without knowing what else is on the table. You really think it's that good? The target can't do much to throw it off, and has a nice long activation window. It's big that it works on your lighters. It works on lighters too. Just slip one into your target's pocket. And say that condition were already fulfilled before they even knew you're there. They wouldn't even know what hit them. Maybe I won't actually have to use it. I could just tell someone I could, and then have to do what I said. Threats could work, although without any proof, it'll come down to how convincing you can be. If only you could use the curse, then back out at the last second. At the last second? What an interesting idea. I have a lighter right here. We could try it now.
Do you want him to hold it?
That's an interesting proposition. But maybe not. I'm not quite crazy enough to make myself a guinea pig.
Oh, I see.
You're an odd one, ma'am, if you don't mind me saying, and I don't think it's just the curse.
You flatterer. Oh, he's crazy. Okay. Anyway.
Jesus. As for what we do next, first of all, I think you should stay indoors. Try not to do anything spontaneous or outside of your normal routine. Right then, have you decided what you want me working on? Investigate more.
Finally I have a lead. I need to know what happened to my son.
Your wish is my command, ma'am. I'll focus all my efforts on looking into the kidnapping.
Although, something just occurred to me. You can't investigate the matter at night, can you? At least until the sun rises. Could you search for the other curse bearers?
All right, I see how it is. Well, I'd be happy to help. Odds are good that the other curse bearers are also working by night. Anyone they kill under the cover of darkness won't be discovered until sunrise. I bet they'll be trying to do as much as they can before morning comes. So it's settled then. I'll look into the other curse bearers by night. And once the city wakes up, I can start asking questions. I'll investigate the kidnapping as well. I'll even try and find Miss Shiraishi as part of the bargain.
Thank you. That's more than enough.
TV.
That color television. Father bought one as soon as it hit the market. He likes to have the latest gadgets. Unlike the latest models, there is no remote control. We've had it for a long time. Back when it was new, we all gathered around it and marveled at it as a family. But with Father and my husband being away so often, it quickly fell into disuse.
You can't watch Pokemon? Dragon Ball Z? Well, I'll be damned. Is that what I think it is? Goodness, he made me jump. It's just a silly little sticker my son got from somewhere or other. Oh, is it one of the birdies? He put it up just before. Well, you know what happened. I still can't bring myself to take it down. Let me take a closer look. It's a little rooster. It's a little delinquent rooster. I knew it. It's Head Hensho. Fantastic. It's Head Hensho from way back in set number 1. This is a real collector's item. Excuse me? Don't tell me you never heard of the Mockingbirds. The what? They're the hottest new craze. Cute little birds dressed up like rough and tumble delinquents. I've never heard of them, but this certainly seems to matter to you. The best part is nobody knows who made them. They just started showing up around town, and soon enough they'd won everybody's hearts. The story goes that they're made by some anonymous artist who covertly leaves them behind specific locations. No one knows when or where they'll show up next. They're basically an urban legend of sorts. To think one would turn up here of all places. This is a good sign, I'm sure of it.
Hey,
Listen.
Watch out.
What's up, DJ? How are you? This is Head Hensho. He's a rootin' tootin' rooster. Or a hen, I guess, because Head Hensho. How you doing? Oh, well, that's nice. I found a bird. A stereo unit with separated speakers designed for home use. My husband insisted on buying one, even though he isn't the one who listens to music often. Flowers. Good, I hope you are. Yeah! I was gonna play Fatal Frame tonight, but we started this game last night, and I'm really enjoying it, and I didn't want to wait until next Tuesday to play it again, so. An arrangement of flowers. We bring in someone to do it. I don't even know what the flowers are called. Maybe they're called Larry. You don't know. An old hanging scroll. I don't know who painted it. It's been hanging here since before I was born. Oh my god, is that a fax machine? Sexy. Speaking of Tuesday, where was you? I was having hot girl tummy problems on Tuesday. So I didn't feel like streaming. So just took a day off. Took a half day at work. I just sat in bed and read some manga. It was a good time. A fax machine. It can send images to other places along the telephone network. I don't really know how it works. Most houses don't have one. I really find a use for it. They do. It happens. Unfortunately, it happens once a month. The telephone. This mansion has a private line. Clock. The swinging of the pendulum echoes through the room. It feels livelier than usual with Richter here. Usually it's just me. Door. Bloody hell. True. Yeah, we're playing this visual novel that was I don't know if it's made by Square Enix or just they are what's the word? Like what Alice does with Vanillaware games. Is it produce it? I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's a visual novel. It's like a lot of Japanese folklore in it, and I'm really digging it. That's a lot of stickers I gotta find. Oh my god. 20? Okay, we gotta start looking for stickers. Approach the net. Oh, we got clues. Bottom shelf surrounded by darkness. Well, new mission. We're finding all the mockingbirds. Now then. I should get to work. There's only so much time before sunrise. I'll call you if I find out anything new. You stay here and keep a lookout. All right. There's no telling what kind of curses you might find out in the streets tonight. Don't go outside if you can help it, and try to be ready for anything.
I will.
Controller, what are you doing? Keep blinking. Stop. Well, if that's all, I should be going. So I don't know if you ever played, the Nonary games, like 999 and all that. It's given similar vibes. So we got routes and everything. We got flow charts and such. And this is what we did. Well, we did all this one last night, the first one. And then some of Yakko's. You played the first game limit? There were 2? Of this? Wait, did we the second one? Didn't this come out, like, last year?
Wait a second.
Oh, you mean the Nonary games? I got you. My own question that I asked you. I was like, wait, the second one? I never finished the second one. I forgot where I got to, and I haven't played the third one. But I watched someone play through some of it, and, it looked like a time. A time I'm not sure I want to have. Summary of previous events. Despite having obtained the curse of the haunting clappers, Haruo Shigima is determined to use the rite of resurrection by stealing the remaining curse stones. She instructs her private investigator Richter to find the other curse bearers. Let's go. Let's go kill some people, guys. Let's go do a murder in game. In the video game? Actually, we haven't murdered anyone tonight. After Shogo went on like a killing spree. haven't felt compelled to do a murder. It's been almost an hour since Richter left. He promised he'd call me if anything happened. But he hasn't. So all I can do is wait. And wait. Paper. We're murdering? Yeah, so the whole spiel of this thing is that, what we got it here. So, this is kind of all happening on the same day at midnight. So, at midnight on this day, let's see here. All these people here, they got hit with a curse, or like the power to curse people. That are related to like these 7 kind of like urban legends in the area that they live. So certain conditions have to be met for them to activate their curse. So the first person we started with was Shogo. He was kind of like the tutorial route that we had. He can activate his curse when someone walks away from him. So he went a little ham and just kind of killed a bunch of people. And then, the person we're playing now, she has the power to, kill people or set them on fire if they have an open flame or if they have, like, a lighter on them. So this game can get pretty meta from what I've seen. Because there's someone who has a curse echo that can kill you if you hear something. Like, if you listen to the voice of the echo. So, I died a couple times to that. So what I had to do was go into my options and lower the voice. Lower the audio. I had to turn off the voice audio all the way down to 0. And then the game was like, oh, you can't hear the curse because there's no voice audio. So, you saved yourself. So that was pretty meta. But it was fun to try and figure out. The game was like, hey, we you know, everything you need to know, we've told you. You just gotta think about it. Yeah. So because we're kind of playing in, so when we started, we named ourselves Baby Girl, of course, as is tradition. So we're kind of watching this unfold as ourselves. We're like watching this happen. so we can kind of interfere with like the stories that are happening. So like for the audio thing, Shogo didn't know. So he just kind of went into the thing like he doesn't know what the curse is, but I know what the curse is. So I can go in there and I can be like, "Oh, turn the volume off." And then Shogo's like, when the curse happens, like I don't hear anything. Like what are you talking about? Um so we can like it's like we're kind of infringing on like their story, if that makes sense. Like I'm just kind of like I'm playing dolls and stuff. I'm like playing around with them, but they have no idea. So it's been really fun. I don't think it's a super long game either. I looked up the playtime and people are just like it's like about 13 hours. So, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's very fun. What's this? A newspaper?